cannot follow our own ideas. We cannot follow our own emotions. We cannot follow our own feelings or thoughts, our own traditions. As he points out there, it is not in himself, which means man is not the source. Man is not the source for how we ought to live to reach godliness. We cannot direct our own steps in the sense that we cannot become godly without God. You think about that for a moment. We need to be convinced as Jeremiah when he says, I know. He was convinced that if he wants to be righteous, it's going to require him being obedient to God. It's going to require him putting aside his own standard of right and wrong, put aside feelings or opinions or whatever it may be, so that he can be one who. Now, how many times we have heard or read that verse? If you read your Bible through every year over the last 20 years, you've heard it at least 20 times then, right? But how many times have we realized that Jeremiah is saying that to the Lord? But how many times have we stopped and asked ourselves, can we say the same thing to the Lord? Can we honestly go to God in prayer and say those same words that Jeremiah says? Can we honestly say, oh Lord, I know the way of man is not in me. I know the way that I ought to live is not according to my path. That I want to live righteously and godly, I have to do things your way. Can we say that honestly when we go to God in prayer? See, Jeremiah was convinced that was the case. That if he was going to be righteous, he has to do God's will, follow his commands, not allowing himself to be the standard. And so tonight I ask you, can you say the same thing that Jeremiah said? Can we go to the Lord in prayer and say that we recognize that our source of living is not us, that the way we ought to live is not within us, it's not within us to direct our own steps. If we're going to be righteous and godly, we need to be those who follow after God and His Word. This evening, as you think about these things, if we can help you or encourage you in any way, we're going to do so. That's going to be sing the song that's been selected.
We're going to sing the first and last verse of this song. When the trumpet of the Lord shall sound, and time shall be no more, and the morning breaks eternal, bright and fair, when the sacred earth shall gather over on the other shore, and the roll is called of yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called of yonder, 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 I'll be there. Let us labor for the Master from the dawn till setting sun. Let us talk of all His wonders, love and care. Then when all of life is over and our work on earth is done, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there.
We are thankful each one is here with us this evening. At this time, we'll be dismissed to our classes. Good evening. Good evening. We're going to, before we get into last time, and that was looking at faith as it relates to feelings and sincerity. And I'm not going to go back and review all that because we have a whole lot to talk about tonight, which we probably won't even get to anyway. But I want us to, this evening, to turn for just a few moments to 2 Samuel chapter 6. When you hear the name Uzzah, what quickly pops in in your mind. What is Uzzah known for? 2 Samuel chapter 6, and looking at verse 6 and 7.